Well, I think that for the bulk of the weekend, we're talking about nice weather. It's not going to be a washout, but you might have to dodge one or two isolated showers or thunderstorms. The best chances look to be during the afternoon and evening on Saturday. We had some out there earlier. Isolated showers and storms to the north, pretty much scattered across areas from the south side into northeastern North Carolina. Now some areas far to the north, seeing some of those showers and thunderstorms popping up, slowly drifting off towards the north right now. We still have that flood advisory out for parts of Accomack County. And notice here just within the past few minutes, another little shower has popped up here near Exmoor. One or two more up towards the northern neck and into southern Maryland. So far northern locations could see that shower or thunderstorm. You can see how they really fired up earlier today, mainly right here across Hampton Roads. The rest of Virginia fairly dry, had some very heavy rain up around Washington and Baltimore. And I think tomorrow we'll see a few isolated showers and thunderstorms popping up. So as we time things out here with Futurecast, partly cloudy skies overnight. Notice a couple of those showers or isolated thunderstorms off towards the north. Partly cloudy skies into tomorrow morning. As we get into the afternoon, as that heat and humidity starts to build, we could see a few of those isolated showers and storms popping up. We'll say about a 30% chance of rain into tomorrow afternoon. Then even into the evening, there could be a line of showers and storms approaching from the west, so we might not be totally done with the rain until we get into the overnight hours after midnight tomorrow night. And Sunday, partly sunny skies as we start the day. Temperatures climbing up into the upper 80s and only about a 20% chance of an isolated shower or storm as we get into Sunday, and that's what we're looking at for Labor Day Monday as well. Tropics, we're still watching tropical depression number 6 out here south and west of the Cape Verde or the Cabo Verde Islands, moving to the west-northwest at 14 miles per hour, will likely become tropical storm Florence later tonight or tomorrow and eventually move off into the North Atlantic. As we add on some of the computers, you can see that they will continue to take it off into the North Atlantic. Partly cloudy skies right now, 74 degrees, south-southwesterly winds at 5 miles per hour. It's muggy out there. Temperatures probably not dropping much from where they are right now. 73 in Surrey and Smithfield, 74 in Hertford and Norfolk, 76 in Hampton, 70 in Gatesville, and 79 degrees in Duck. So 74 tonight, that isolated thunderstorm mainly to the north, muggy and warm. Isolated thunderstorms likely tomorrow, 87 degrees into tomorrow evening, 74, and then possible on Sunday, 88 degrees, partly sunny and hot. 89 as we get into your Labor Day Monday. Same thing for Tuesday as the kids head back to school. Looks like it's going to be a hot first week of school. Partly sunny skies, temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees.